Good
Hello.
evening.
Welcome to Mystic Mama's podcast. Super excited for tonight's show. I'm Wendy. This is Beth. And our guest of honor, our first guest,
Ashley Erwin.
Yes. So welcome to tonight. Very excited I have been stoked all day for this. Actually studied. So I feel like everybody's in for a really good treat. We are extending on our religious trauma series, and thought it would be awesome to have Ashley on. Remember, I kind of promised her last week before I even asked her. So I'm glad that she was available.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
For sure.
I met Ashley when I first opened Mystic Life. I'd only been open maybe 2 months. And her and her husband had just kind of popped in, and we ended up talking. And I think actually you may have saved my life that day. Two scary guys kind of walk in, and they lingered. Her and her husband lingered, and it was the first time in many, many years that I was actually scared. I don't get scared very often, and when they left, I was grateful. And she said, "Oh no," I turned to my husband and said, "We're staying."
Yeah. It was quite interesting. Quite an interesting way to kick things off.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that we met.
Absolutely.
And so glad that this place is here and that I get to be here today.
Yes.
So yeah.
And one of the many things that I love about Ashley is she is a Sagittarius.
Yes.
I'm an Aries, and I love other fire signs, obviously.
I mean, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift herself.
And she's an
You
Aries.
just sent me something else. There were some other that
Oh
were
my
really
God.
cool.
Sagittarius legends, Ozzy Osbourne, Tina
Yes,
Turner,
that's right.
Christina Aguilera, Little Richard. The list goes on.
We're
You're
pretty
meant
legendary.
We're pretty legendary.
I mean, I feel like
It makes
that.
sense.
I feel like
You
it.
know, you have no problem with the limelight, but you like to travel, and that's probably the biggest hindrance.
I
of
think
being
so,
famous.
yeah.
That's interesting. But she also has Aries in there too.
Aries
Yeah.
rising. Yeah.
Aries rising. So she is an astrologer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let her tap into that a little more later. She's
gonna do our tarot.
she's basically our in-house tarot reader. I usually refer people to her. And on top of that, she has many other amazing qualities, and she is a survivor of religious trauma.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Big time.
Yes, so it was important that she is that we have her as our first guest, because we just absolutely adore her. So
Thank
welcome,
you.
Ashley Erwin.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I'm so excited to be here, and this is something that, fortunately or unfortunately, is a big part of me and my journey and what I've been through. So I'm really, kind of excited to talk about it a little more publicly, I guess, for the first time, really.
Talk about next step in healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and I wanted to let everybody know that Maggie and Lena are with us again. too.
Hey. Yay, so glad to be here.
Okay, so
They're such good cheerleaders
They
too.
are.
If you can hear them cheering us on when we
Right.
start.
Hype squad.
Yes.
Oh, we're live on Facebook tonight too.
We're trying to figure out, we're not seeing it on Facebook, but we're live on TikTok, YouTube. We're up on there, yeah.
Yay, so welcome.
Yeah.
This is a whole new audience. Super excited to be here with this. So that we can get into it, Ashley, who is a tarot reader, an astrologer. She is a mother. She owns her own business, the High Priestess.
Yes, I do.
Just amazing woman, but is a survivor of what some people would consider, not completely label it, but some people would consider what you grew up in, a foundational of religion, which was called the Way.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a survivor of a very deep, let's say, religious, some would say cult. We're not going to maybe even have to go there, but excited to hear her story on where that came, because I do think that that's a huge journey to come from that strict of a beginning to where I know, to where you are now, which
Yeah.
with a self-proclaimed witch.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. How did we forget this? She
Yes.
even has like the crocheted hat that my mom made.
Which I love and adore.
Yes.
I love that hat. I wear it at like every gig that is like hat appropriate.
Yes,
I'm popping
you
out
do.
the witch hat.
I love it.
Any chance I get,
Yes.
and then I always tell them it's crocheted by Karen.
Yes.
It's exclusively at Mystic Life in Xenia. You have to go down.
And she is opening her own Etsy shop.
Yeah,
Well, she
she
has
is.
opened it.
Oh,
Yeah.
she has?
Well, she'll be
Crocheted by
selling those
Karen.
crochet hats.
Okay.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Shout out, Crochet by Karen. Go
Yeah.
check it out on Etsy for sure.
We'll put it in our description. You can check that out tomorrow.
But yeah, so
Okay.
without further ado,
Yeah.
let's get started.
Okay.
So I guess like let's just kind of talk about
Like, what was your upbringing?
what that looked like for you.
So, it was, so I want to back up a little bit. So we're talking about the Way International, and just to like understand the way that I grew up, I think the structure is important. So the founder of the Way International was a guy named VP Werewell. And I could go on about, that could be the whole podcast, me talking about them and their history. But basically the structure is that they liken it to a tree, with like the trunk is like the main like compound or facility or whatever they want to call it. They have like a family farm that he inherited that's been converted into a campus that has like their main like educational centers. It's where they have their big festival, Rock of Ages. So that's the trunk. And then you have like branches, which is like state organizations, or limbs, which are state organizations, and branches, which are regional, and then all the way down to what are called twigs, which are home fellowship Bible study groups. So at the time of VP Werewell, my grandparents were heavily involved. My mom grew up like in the Way, like he was a motorcycle rider, VP Werewell. It was like weird because they were strict on so many things, and then they had this very cool appeal, which you saw in that video.
Yeah.
But so anyway, they were very close. My mom and her siblings grew up like very closely in the Way, and then VP Werewell actually passed away in '85. And so my family actually pulled away at that time. There was new leadership, and then my grandfather essentially continued to run this twig in the style of like a la VP Werewell, of like just my family and like a few hangers on. So it was even more isolating with the cult because we didn't have the community of the cult, because the cult was like moving on, and they were like, well, we're kind of like down with VP Werewell, so we're gonna like keep doing what he was doing in our own style, like, and that's how we're gonna continue to raise our grandchildren.
So how many people were like in your twig? Like
In
total?
my twig, it would vary. A lot of times it was literally just like my mom, my aunt, all of my cousins. And then there would be people that they would bring in randomly from like they had met at work, or like my grandparents worked for a long time. They were factory workers. So people would filter in and out. I would say it was never more than like 10 or 12 people at a time. And many, many times it was literally like just our family. But
so isolated.
it is extremely isolated.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
and so, VP Werewell's whole thing was that he proclaimed to have been given by God the only accurate translation of the Bible since the 1st century. And he would go back and he would have teams. Oh, yeah. yeah. Frowning face is correct.
I don't
That's
think
right.
anybody could see my face.
Right. No, I mean, it's the correct reaction. So that's what he taught. And he had like a lot of specifics about that were, part of the doctrine. Like one of them, the Trinity. Didn't believe in the Trinity, like that's a pagan concept. The cross is a pagan symbol. It's not real. Jesus wasn't killed on a cross. He was nailed to a tree. So we didn't have any cross symbolism at all. They would use symbols like doves and like other things. But anyway, all of that comes from him thinking that like his translations of the original language of the Bibles, the original languages that the Bible was written in, and like the cultural customs at that time. And he would tell people, so this is what it actually means in that context. Exactly, which is great, right?
Thank you.
So for us, I didn't even have that community of the cult. So it's literally like me and my family, and they're telling me like, this is the truth of the Bible. No one else knows this. This is the only like proper interpretation. So it's literally like just us and like our little family that has it correct, and everyone else in the world is like interpreting the Bible wrong. And like, yeah. So, I mean, extremely isolating. And
do you guys feel you were the only ones that were going to go to heaven? Or the only people who followed the Way?
That was something that was always confusing for me. And I always wondered because they would be very vehemently behind closed doors. Like, this is right, and if you have a cross, you're wearing a pagan symbol, da 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 da. And I was like, well, a lot of Christian, my friends, like, I went to a Christian school later, and it's like they believe in the Trinity, and they're wearing crosses. So are they going to hell? And
seem like good people, and
yeah. So, and it was like Bible study was a very like almost ceaseless. Like we read the Bible every single day, like extensive portions of the Bible. And it was just really woven into everything that we did. Like if you swept the floor, you swept the floor for the Lord. If you, like, there was not any single thing that I could do that my mind, there was trigger words and trigger items that were going off in my mind of how this is, it's in relation to my beliefs. And it was beyond that. It was like, it's not even a belief. This is just the truth of the way things are.
Yeah.
This is the truth. And it's the truth that we live with in our lives. And it's intertwined and ingrained into every single part of life and every single thought that we have and every single thing that we do.
Do you feel that being raised so isolated, in such an isolating environment, did it happen to give you like trust issues when you did start going out into, when you started detaching from?
So I think I was really zealous when I was a kid, and I think I really had kind of bought the whole thing, confined and thinker, as like is the intention of it. And so I think more than anything, I was worried for people, and I was like worried, like, so I was
like, oh my gosh, all of my loved ones are going to hell.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be alone up there.
I'm going to be alone up there. Right. And so like even my own father, who, so when we talk about this, we're talking about my mom's family, and very quickly, disclaimer, I love my mom's family. I love them very, very much. And I have no hate or bitterness in my heart. And I just wish them the best. And I hope that they're all doing very, very well. And the only issue I have with my mom's family is that their beliefs don't allow me to be myself. I can't fit into their world. So anyway, I just wanted to say that as a disclaimer. And I'm sure that there are other versions of my story from other people's perspectives that would differ from my own, and I welcome hearing those at any time. But my father, so he married my mom. He was raised like Methodist, like very kind of normal suburban Ohio Christian upbringing. And he never was like hook, line, and sinker into it. So I was even worried about my own father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I really felt a responsibility to try to communicate these truths that were so important to me and felt so desperately important in everything that I did. So I didn't feel, honestly, I really didn't struggle with trust issues until I got out into the world and started getting burned. I really just kind of felt like everybody's lost.
Well, because you were so isolated that you couldn't, there was no outside perspective other than what you were. So of course, like that's the only, you don't even have trust issues until you're like out and
you're probably
realizing that there are other
completely
perspectives. There are different, meeting different people and like being able to like even experience that. It's so funny because you sent us a video and it was like this like sweet, it was sweet. Like I was like ready to join after this video. Like set in like I would say early 80s, 70s.
I think it's 72.
Oh my gosh,
Rock of Ages 72.
Rock of Ages, and it's straight like Woodstock, but it's like church, and you can't, and it's just like the way. But the thing I thought was it's so interesting to hear like how strict it is, and then like to see that the way that they're like it was it took off because of Haight-Ashbury. Like it was like a movement in San Francisco, and then it got brought to Ohio. And like that, so
absolutely.
It was crazy.
It was a big movement at that time. It was part of a larger movement of these like Jesus freaks, like charismatic Christian. Some would say cults, some would not say cults.
Yeah.
But I would say at the very least, the way is a high control group. It's a high control group. If you're not allowed to trust your own mind, I feel like that's a high control group. So maybe that's the phrasing I'll use.
Yeah.
And again, this is my opinion, right? It's my opinion. So
but
they absolutely preyed on young people who were lost. It was very vibrant. Like the Rock of Ages is like their Woodstock, and everybody looks forward to it. It's a giant festival. They come from all around the different way installations across the country. Like all the little missionaries come together. They've been doing it for a very, very long time.
Well, I was like, but the one thing I did notice, and of course it was probably just like a documentary for that festival, because I'm like, what's the message here? Like, what did they believe?
Get your ass out here.
Yeah, it was like, we're gonna like have so much, like
we're gonna show you the way.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because I'm reading the Tao, which is the way. So it's when I first heard that you were in this like group called the Way, I was like, dude, I'm interested. Like, that's what the Tao is. I just read the Dhammapada. It's called the Way, and like Jesus is like the way. So I'm like, oh, like,
Well, they lose Ashley and they gain you.
Down,
By the end, she's like, so how do we join now?
Yeah, can we flip flop?
I was actually reading. Can I show this?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're interested so far from what I've said, this is a book called Undertow, written by a former Way member called Charlene Edge. So I was reading this book the other night. We'll put the title and the author in the description.
And the name of the video.
Yes. And so she referenced the documentary, how it was made. So immediately, I'm going to YouTube. I'm like, I got to find
in the
this
comments
documentary.
down below.
And so I go, and it was there, and it just was, for me, again, like the way that I saw it, it was like almost like I was living in like the ruins of it, you know, like because we didn't go to
you weren't in the height of it.
Exactly. And so to see that, it was like, wow, this is really a cult. This is really a cult, because this is a very much a propaganda video.
It was. He's like, I've done every drug, but it was because I was looking for something. So if you're looking for something, come here, come.
Yeah.
And who isn't? Everyone's like, I'm looking for something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely trigger words.
It was
like,
so
yes.
propaganda though.
Well, and I think that's the betrayal of it, right? Is like, and I think that's what I've come to find, is that what people so often are looking for is within. And that sounds so cliche.
That's the way.
But the way is within us.
Yes.
It's within us. We don't need someone to like show us the way, because we have it.
It's already in us.
And then you have people that prey on that desire to be part of something bigger and to find some sort of light to direct you. And that's just such a huge betrayal of trust, you know, to come in and say, I want to offer you peace and happiness and inner peace and understanding and really just deliver control and rules and a little box that you have to fit into to be okay.
I agree. And Wendy and I don't know, a year ago, we didn't know we were doing it. We decided to go down this like rabbit hole, watching all these documentaries about cults.
Yeah.
And it scared the bejesus out of me, because the whole time I'm like, well, I believe that too. I believe that.
And they start off.
That's how I want to live.
Intentions.
I need a cult.
Exactly. Every one of them, not every one of them, a lot of them start out with good intentions. And the one thing I end up finding is unhealed people, when they get together, they need someone to follow. They need someone to look up to. And when you are given that power, when people start looking up to you and they start falling to their knees and worshiping you, and then you have a choice to make.
Yeah.
And money talks.
It can be very comforting, I think, because life can be so overwhelming. And it's like when you become an adult, and especially when you're young and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, nobody had told me like what I'm supposed to be doing out here.
Yeah.
To have someone to look to that says, oh, I'm confident and I'm comfortable and I have the answers and I can tell you exactly what you need. I know exactly what you need. It's very comforting to have that person make decisions for you. And that becomes a very slippery slope of control.
It is.
And then you're asking permission.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to sign all my stuff over to someone and be provided for and have complete trust in someone that whatever they decide is good. I just, I'm going to go farm and come back to the house. Yeah,
It ends up being a promo for cults.
I wish that, I could step into a position like that. All I'm saying is I understand how people fall for it. I would. I'm shocked that I haven't after watching these cults. They just didn't nab me at the right time.
Yeah.
They missed their shot.
And I think something that I learned actually working in domestic violence services is that nobody is above being manipulated.
No.
And you can't be too smart or too rich or too educated or too anything to be above manipulation. Every human being that exists can be manipulated. And, you know, that's why
you're right. You're
Absolutely.
I definitely don't blame people who fall victim to cults and to their systems of belief and their systems of control, because I get it. I'm a human, you know?
And we've all done it in one way or
In
another.
one way or another. Like it's what you get
Yeah,
into.
especially
Yeah.
when you dated a narcissist.
Yeah.
And you have no idea. And it's too late when you realize it's happened. You're like, oh my God, I'm
You're
2
like,
years
uh-oh.
in.
I'm asking permission to leave the house now. What happened? wait, when did that happen?
Don't get me started.
Right.
So how did you, so then you have obviously moved on from that. So how did you I mean, we were talking about the trust thing and that came after. So like, how did that look when you left? Like, how did you?
So it really is like a long and messy and blurry departure. So when I was a kid, through elementary and middle school, actually I was homeschooled on.
Oh my God, that's like.
And we lived in the
babies.
we lived in the middle of the woods, right? So I live in the middle of the woods. The church that I go to is like my grandfather, like telling us what to cross out of our Bibles for like 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? And then like I go home and I'm homeschooled, and so basically my parents' marriage had problems. They separated and got divorced, and when that happened, my mom like lost her control of the situation. Basically, she was not going to be able to continue to homeschool. You know, you go through a divorce, your life changes. So she had other things that she had to tend to, and she had to start to send us to school. And so I think that was like the first chips in like the armor, right? So maybe like 10 or 11 at that time. And at that time, we went to a small Christian school with like 50 total students. I'm talking like preschool through high school, 50 total students. And it was in an apostolic church, very, very like fundamentalist. They were biblical literate. So there was a lot of things that they had in common with like our systems of belief, of course. And then, you know, there was the things we say behind their backs and close doors, like they don't know, that's not real. So I did that for like 2 years, and that was again first like kind of chips when I was starting to see just interact with other people more and get out of my out from under my mom's control, really, because it was very tightly controlled. And then from there, I had to, in 9th grade, I had to go to public school for the first time, which I hated.
Culture shock.
Hated. And at that point, you know, like I've been doing so, like,
How you really feel?
well,
I get it. Like I can't imagine.
and I was a good student too.
9th grade at that. Like what?
And at this point,
new girl.
listen, I grew up chopping wood for like the fireplace. We would heat our house with like a wood stove. I like was cooking dinner for my family. I was like, I was just not. I walked in and I was like, this is a bunch of kids. I don't know what's going on here. Like, I don't.
Who's Pearl Jam?
Who is she?
Yeah, it was Pearl, yeah. But yeah, so that was a huge culture shock, and I was making friends, and all of that was starting to chip away. Stuff like, you know, they're vehemently homophobic the way it is, and my family was vehemently homophobic. I started to meet queer kids who were my friends and who were real people who I had developed affection for, and like was like, well, I don't think that this is a horrible person who's going to hell. And I met friends, like one of my best friends still to this day, people who are agnostics and atheists and not religious at all. And so just like starting to meet different people, it just like chipped away over time. I would say by the time I was like 13 or 14, I had completely pretty much like left it. Yeah. I was like, well, not physically. So I'm still attending the fellowships, right? So they call it fellowship as well. They don't call it church because it's all about this like late New Testament language. They use a lot of language that's extracted from like the late New Testament, the epistles, the letters to the Corinthians, like all those sorts of things.
Those are tough.
Oh yeah.
I'm.
Yeah.
Don't.
That's a whole thing.
And at a young
and
age,
not even
though-
written by Paul. At this
Right,
point.
and
We
at
know
a young
now.
age, if you're learning this at a young age,
Paul's wild.
you're just going to take it
Started.
you.
Ding.
Ding. I don't.
But yeah,
That's
so
that's strange.
no, and it was.
Yeah.
It's strange. Strange is another good descriptor for it. But yeah, just like as I met more people, and then I had an older cousin who I
It's
love.
always the cousins.
I
Oh.
love so
that
dearly.
expose you.
It's
to
always the
She
cousins.
was-
Yes.
Okay, she was a real shithead in the best, in the best way. Like one of the most funniest, most irreverent. Like one time I remember we were sitting in fellowship and we had this little blue booklet of way approved hymns, which were copyrighted hymns, which they had altered to like make sure they didn't like offend any way beliefs. And we're flipping through there to
Like
find
the
a
old
song.
rugged cross is probably not going to be in there because
Nope.
you can't have the cross.
100%. That was forbidden. Old rugged cross
So
specifically.
you just have like
prohibited.
redacted.
Yes, redacted Bible, redacted hymnal. And we were flipping through one day, and my cousin goes, "Hey, Giving 3 Steps is in here."
I love that song.
So yeah, and so she was very much just like, "Girl, let me tell you, it's." And so that had a huge influence on me. And then as she got older and like really started to assert her independence, so the way has this really nasty thing similar to shunning, which is called mark and avoid. Right. So as she's getting older and I'm watching her establish her life and we have a lot of the same interests and we're both super artsy. We're both super into spiritual stuff. She introduced me to astrology. She introduced me to Eastern religion. And so my family starts to like pull the rug out.
She's
from
the
under.
devil.
Yeah, she's the devil.
She's
So
the
they started
devil.
doing things like, oh, I don't know if I want to go into specifics, but they denied her resources, some which she was entitled to and some which she wasn't. But they really, she didn't have a lot of support. She did not. And it was because she wouldn't toe the line, right? So then I started to get this message of like, oh, like if I don't toe the line, I'm going on the street too. Because my cousin, who I love very much, she's been on the street and she was on the street for a decade. That's what happened. And so that was another layer of trauma where it's like, as I'm coming into my own and I'm realizing like, oh, like this is who I am. And I'm not like her exactly, but I kind of like the idea that she's trying things out. I'm going to try things out. I started to realize how that was totally going to compromise any sort of safety net and support that I had to do that. It was forbidden. It was forbidden. And if you act like that, it's not going to be a lecture. It's going to be, you don't have a place to stay. So
A lot of strength for her to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
And it gave you strength.
It
obviously,
really
yeah.
did. And sometimes I feel like I even have survivor's guilt because of so much of what she's still around, but she's been through a lot of, I guess survivor's guilt's not the right word, but I didn't suffer as immensely as she suffered because I watched what she went through. And
and you were able
I was
to
more careful and more controlled.
Maybe
in
that
mine.
was the role she wanted to play for you in this lifetime.
Well, I don't want to speak for her. I love her very much, and she's still out there doing her thing, and I hope she's doing well. But so that was a big part of it. My cousin had a huge influence on me, and then so I went out into the world. I left home at 17, and I just went crazy. I just went crazy. I was self-medicating. I was doing all the things too much. But I'd had a job since I was 15 years old. I had my first job. I ended up with 2 jobs, like by the time I was 15 years old. And that was another huge escape for me, would be like, oh, well, I have to work this Sunday. I guess I can't come to fellowship.
Oh yeah.
So,
I imagine
I'm
my
surprised they
kids
allowed
like
that.
and it was, so I also started, I hated high school. So I was very studious. I was a good student. So I started doing college actually through College Credit Plus when I was like 15 years old.
Mhm.
And I had to drive to Piqua. First, I had to hitch rides because I was not old enough to have a license. But I had to get a car. I had to put gas in my car.
Yeah.
And then I had to have a cell phone because it's like, okay, like I'm driving all these things. And so that was my excuse. I need gas for my car so I can go to school. I need to save money, whatever. So that was a really big part of my escape was my work life. And I think that's something I'm still kind of untangling now is like, I think that gave me an unhealthy relationship with work as well, which is another layer.
because it was like your first.
It was
like savior.
Survival mode.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tool for me to like build my independence on. And I just, like I said, you know, I knew kind of if I wanted to be who I wanted to be, I was going to have to do that because nobody was going to support me in kind of like following what it is that I wanted to do. So yeah.
Ashley, you are just
It makes me think
like
so
I've heard
much.
a lot of this before. We've talked about these things many times, but I guess hearing it in one sitting, you know, and not just in these little tidbits where we like throw in a little bit of trauma.
Yeah.
You're like, oh
Just
yeah,
to
well this
spice it
happened to
up.
me. We're like, me too.
My
or
son says
whatever.
I always drop the most random lore.
Yes, the lore.
Traumatized people are great for that,
Yeah.
especially my mom every once in a while she'll just like throw in a little like story from her childhood, and I'm like,
That's
Mom,
the worst
dude.
thing I've ever
I'm
heard.
like, that's horrible. And she goes, and then it's like, look, we start talking about something else. I'm like, I think you need to work through that. It's horrid. Yeah. Or, yeah. Mom, I love you. It's nothing. I mean, she's probably chomping on.
We love Memo.
It's so raw to hear you talk about it from like your point of view, because my ex is still very much in that world, and my children, and as you kind of are aware, my birth chart is like I have a stack like fifth house, and I have come to this like belief that, and I mean this like, see, this is where that like people know who you're talking about kind of thing, but I like,
There's other perspectives. This is yours.
exactly. And I feel like I need to be there. And I do tell them, like, please know that you are open. You are more than welcome to make any decision that you want. Like if you choose the path of where they're at right now, which is very similar to the way you live. I mean, like the way she grew up down to, but now like covering their heads.
Yeah.
The girls have to cover their heads. They have to do prayers like morning, like with their heads covered. Like they tried to get home. Their dad wanted them homeschooled. And I knew in my heart, and my mom and them would come to me like, no, you have to keep them like, so that's like their only touch with like independence.
Yeah.
So we fought up, you know, so they're not homeschooled now and things have changed. But I've always felt like, because I have that stack fifth house, like I'm here to make sure that they understand that there is an opportunity for you to explore should you want to. And I do tell them they should question everything. Anything anyone says to you, whether it be me, your father, a preacher, no matter who it be, you should question it.
That's such a gift. That's such a gift. That's the gift of skepticism.
Yeah.
The gift. It's because you know what skepticism, like to me, what it really is, it's me trusting myself.
Yes.
It's saying, I don't know about that. And then leaning into that and saying either just on gut, I'm not gonna mess with that because I don't feel good about it, or I want to learn more before I make my
Trusting
decision.
our intuitions.
Absolutely.
And that's where true discernment, and again, like, so something I'm really big on right now that I've probably talked about here is discernment.
Yeah.
And how hard it's going to get, like every day it's getting harder with the world and, you know, with AI and just everything, that discernment. And we can only teach our children to learn to trust their feelings, because soon, like if they're not tapped into that, which we're getting separated more and more, it's all like online.
Yeah.
Then we will not be able to tell the difference.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that, like I said, I think it's a really, to give your children permission to question you is, it's a gift. It's a gift because it's not something that every parent's willing to do.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it's hard.
I certainly wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, you were not gifted that. Yeah.
I certainly was not allowed to question.
See,
Yeah.
well, I feel like you weren't even to know that you were to question it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just was what it was.
It was what it was. This is life. This is the way it is.
A matter of fact, the way life is.
Yeah, it was. There was nothing to question. It would be like me questioning grass or sky or trees. It was. This is what it is.
Yep.
But yeah. We were talking about I would like started working, and that was one of my escapes.
Like
and so then when I was 17, I actually moved out. I had been in college for 2 years and they didn't want me to go. Neither of my parents wanted me to go. My poor dad. Yeah, they were divorced by this time, so he was kind of out of it. And I don't think he understood the urgency that I was like, I'm leaving, dude. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Columbus. And like I said, that's when I was kind of really going crazy and everything. And I fell on my ass a few times. I was just like naive and I was struggling, like I said, with self-medicating, drinking too much, with partying and all that sort of thing. And I ended up back in Dayton a few years later. And I'm like you do. You fall
The old bounce back.
Hey. Back. And so I ended up with my son's father, who's now 11 years old. And when I had my son, like I was just cruising along. We got married, things were going good. And then I had my son, and then I just all of a sudden, like, I was like, oh, like this takes way more money than I thought. It takes way more resources than I thought. And I was just like, I felt myself falling back in. I felt like I was having to depend on my family more. I was having to see them more. They were coming around. And there was already things that was happening. Like, there is very much a culture of like talking about people behind their backs and even turning children against their adults. It was done to me with my father, as things were said about him behind his back, and attempts were made to turn me against my father. And I just had this growing fear of like, I never came out and said, hey, I don't believe this stuff, you guys, because I just felt like there's no, what's the outcome of that for me?
Yeah.
So, but they had their suspicions, I'm like, they know I'm not in it. And so I just kind of was like, if I don't figure out how to support us, if I don't build a life for us, because I couldn't rely at that time, I couldn't rely on my son's father it just wasn't, he was young, I was young, it wasn't going to happen. It was going to be me or it was going to be nobody.
Yeah.
And so I really just kind of like, in a mad panic, I went back to school. I got a big girl job. I got a career. And I built a life for us until literally in March of 21, I went low contact with my father and ended up no contact with my mom. I tried to do like a low contact situation.
Yeah.
And she basically responded and said, that's how it's going to be. I don't want a relationship with you. Yeah. So basically I built the structures to where I was like, okay, like, and it wasn't like, okay, I just did it in 2 years. It took me 7 years to do that, to like feverishly build a life to where I could, I had enough money for groceries, had enough money for bills. And I finally was like, all right, I'm finally solid enough that I can tell everybody, hey, by the way, like, we're going to have a lot more stricter boundaries. So, but it was that, so that was 21. And really, like I said, it really started when I was probably 12 or 13. So it was this very slow 15, 20 year pull away that, finally they'd had it with my shit, I guess. And she was like,
Talk about breaking a generational cycle.
Well, and I think about that all the time. This is something I write in my notes what I was thinking about before, but like, my grandmother, my mom's mom, she grew up in an Appalachian region. She grew up poor, and she grew up watching her mom get, beaten and hurt, and she like her aunts and stuff. And so she just wanted a man who didn't drink. Yeah. She wanted a man who didn't drink, and for her, that was the curse she broke for us, right? So it's like all this stuff is sad, and I wish that I didn't grow up that way. And there's another like level of trauma to it, because being from an Appalachian family, I have a really rich family culture, right? Yeah. But so much of that was replaced with the culture of the cult. So like there was things that was like culture, like part of my family culture that's completely erased, that I'm disconnected with, that I'm having to rediscover, 35, 36 years old, because our family culture was the culture of the cult. But for my grandmother, the curse that she was breaking is that she married a man that didn't drink and didn't hit her.
And then in turn, her kids' lives were better.
They were.
Than hers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you really think about it, you go back generation by generation. I think it's what we all try to do as parents, is just to do better than our parents did. Yeah. And hopefully, maybe my great-grandchildren will be trauma-free. I don't know. We're trying a little bit at a time. So when all this movie, took you all this, did you start getting into esoteric things before that 7-year mark when you were done building your life?
Wait, so
did it like assist you in the journey?
Oh my God. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I think it was the
I would have been dead without it.
It was like as soon as I started, so my cousin, of course, introduced me to astrology, and that was the first. I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I'm really into astrology. Astro.com. I still use it for charts. It's been free. It's been free. That was 2005, probably.
That's crazy because that's
I was getting on like the library computer, getting on Astro.com in 2005. But so started there, and then my first apartment, I had a neighbor. I'm still friends with one of these people. The other was my friend for a long time. But she was a tarot reader, and one day they were sitting on the porch and they were hanging out, and I was like walking stuff out of groceries in and out of my apartment, and one of them goes, "Hey, you want to come smoke this blunt?" And I was like, "Wow,
absolutely."
Me? What? So I go over, and they're doing tarot readings, and I was like, "What's this?" Yeah. So that was my first introduction to tarot, and it was lovely.
Standard.
It was the
best time.
It was the best.
Yeah.
I felt so. I was like 17 years old, and of course I'm hanging out with people that are like 22, so I'm feeling super cool.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, we're like, you know,
like, I have made it.
I've made it. I'm flipping tarot. I'm smoking blunts. I
don't need my other friends anymore.
Listen, I don't need nothing no more. So she exactly. So she showed me tarot, and that's when I started, and I really just kind of never stopped. Like I picked it up and immediately was like a love affair. I absolutely love it. And it's like meditative for me. I find it so fun to read for other people. I just love, even for years before I ever did it for money, I would sit with my friends and we'd do exactly that. Smoke a bowl, drink a glass of wine, throw some cards, and some of the most deep and
yes,
intimate and meaningful conversations of my life.
If anything, that's what I think it does, is it allows for conversation and for you to explore things that maybe you wouldn't.
Absolutely.
And you pulled the whatever card.
Absolutely. And so that was the taboo of it, was also like very appealing to me, because I was very much like I said, sneakily and behind closed doors and in my own little secret ways, I was pulling away more and more and more. And as I was pulling away, I was like, all the doors that had been closed to me, I was like, what's behind here? And what's behind here? And what's behind here? And I think that's, that's where I've got all these things that I was raised to be afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Really lost their power, and they lost their hold of fear over me. And I think that's given me my skepticism, especially when it comes to things that are frightening and like unsettling. It's like, how much power does it really have over me? How much
and
power
ask
does it
yourself,
really have?
I don't feel evil when I do this. This doesn't make me feel like I might go to hell. And
do you get a lot of backlash, like have you in your own personal life received a lot of backlash for like the tarot and astrology?
So I would say I never openly spoke about it with my mom. She knew that my neighbor was into it, the one who taught me, and was very like, you don't need to be hated. She's doing tarot cards. And so, but like, as far as me personally,
she's into the tarot cards.
Yeah.
She's 22. You're saying
probably smokes the reefer.
Yeah. Well, listen. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. But I'll say that the cards were the problem. But so anyway, I really haven't, but I feel like I have discernment, keywords, the word of the day, about like who is going to be cool with it and who is not, for the most part. Every once in a while I'll make a misstep and someone will go, oh no, like I'm not. And I'll go, oh, okay, I was the wrong person. But for the most part, I think I kind of know where it's going to be received well, where it's not.
I agree.
And so I think I have got backlash more for being a outspoken, like confident woman than I have for being
I've
received a lot of pushback for that, but not so much, just because I kind of keep it to myself unless I feel safe. To be honest. Yeah.
So
maybe now
you are
call in. We're standing by.
Yes, someone's on the line.
They're answering all the phones. So you consider yourself a witch. How did
Yeah.
you get into that then? Like, did that naturally come with the tarot, or like when did you you made that
Sort
decision?
of.
I am a witch.
I think that was like a sneaky thing. Sorry, you're.
Yeah, no, that's like
So that's like a sneaky thing too. It was like I think definitely started with the tarot. I would say that divination is a form of witchcraft, and I think the most evangelicals would agree with me. And I think that like
comments under
so-
there.
so
I'm
much
trying
of-
to be a soul.
Yeah.
But I think so much of what we do as women was labeled as witchcraft. I think herbal tinctures
Yep.
are labeled as
Mhm.
witchcraft. I think
Being a bedside, like delivering a baby. What are those?
midwife.
Midwife.
Midwife was considered. So when I started to learn about those things, and then I started to think about things like cooking is very meditative for me when I choose to. I mean, sometimes it's freaking Tuesday night and you're throwing something together and it's like whatever, dude.
Salisbury steak.
Exactly, right? That ain't witchcraft. That's something else. But no, I was like so.
That's
I really
defeat.
So I started just I think with sage and things like some of the Native American things that have been borrowed for Wicca, all those sorts of practices and like Eastern religion. And really when I started to get into witchcraft is when I started to put intention into like what it is that I do. For me, like, because I think we are the magic. I think we are the magic's within us. And so like deep cleaning my house, I would do stuff like I'm starting in the basement. I'm going to deep clean all the corners of the basement before I'm going to clean the walls, and then I'm going to move my way up. And as you're doing that, if you have a spiritual intention that you're also wiping away any negativity that's here, any whatever that's in the space that's clinging on, that to me is witchcraft. When I go in the garden, like and I'm working in my garden and I accidentally like scratch or cut myself and I'm like let a drop of blood go into the soil, to me that's witchcraft. You know what I mean? Just like so it really just became I mean, I was already like kind of conditioned to have this spiritual, like these spiritual clicks going off in my head with everything that I did. And so I really just kind of put my own flavor on it and was like, I'm moving spiritually in this way when I'm doing XYZ. But it was something that really kind of slowly happened over time. I would say I've only started calling myself a witch probably in the last like 5 years.
And I think it's interesting too because witch has become such like a popular term that it's almost like I would consider that too, but now it's just that it's interesting on what a feeling it gives, or the
like witch talk.
The witch talk, or even how it just feels inauthentic now because of what they've on the whole, everything. I'm reading a book called Wayward right now. It's so good. It's about 3 generations of witches. They call themselves Wayward. It's so good.
That sounds cool.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, so I think it's interesting even to know that like within 5 years you've been able to
say the word,
especially coming from such a strong religious upbringing, that does it ever still give you a fear? Like, do you ever still feel the like shake, or like almost like if you put you know what I mean, the residual, the vibration?
I think sometimes, and that's a really great question, and I think for years, yes. I would say now with that word, I don't think so. I think I'm kind of more where you are, where I'm like, I don't want to lump myself in with witch talk. No shade to my ladies on witch talk. You guys do your thing, but that's just not like my approach, and it's not my expression of my idea. My idea of being a witch is being a woman who operates from confidence and with intention and with belief that I have the power to accomplish what it is that I am doing. To the degree to which I will receive satisfaction. Yeah, that's what being a witch is.
Absolutely.
Is not only can I do it, but I'm gonna feel great when I finish.
Like when I delivered my children and I did it naturally and I was able to do that, it woke something up in me that was like, do not even come, like in the most humble way, but fierce of I went there, I went to that brink, I grabbed that soul and I brought it over, and I've done that 4 times. And like, don't tell me I've been plucked by no man's rib. Like, no. And
I was always even when I opened this place in 2022, the term witch stung a lot.
Yeah,
for
we
me.
did struggle with it.
It stung,
we had a
and
conversation about which
we
we
just-
just spoke in here.
I didn't want to cast any type of judgment. I had negative encounters with people who were self-proclaimed witches, and it was
All about intention.
meeting you and getting to know you, and it made me dive into it more, and
That's lovely.
It definitely cleared my mind with it, and just knowing that, and we
That
are
means
witches
so
in our
much.
own right, and
If I can, like you telling me that, like, because I would consider you open-minded, but like you telling me and that my presence allowed you to like expand your mind about something that you had like trepidation about is like one of the most meaningful things you could say to me. Honestly, like,
I'm
that's
so glad.
that means a lot.
My
It
first
did.
interaction with tarot, you were the first person to ever
Yes.
read my cards,
best tarot
and
reader
now,
ever.
yeah, like you completely introduced me,
It's
made me
changed.
comfortable
Thank
with it,
you.
and that is something so like taboo and so like, yes, as ex-Pentecostal girl, like this is so forbidden. Like I am burning in hell for this, but you've made
I
it.
was afraid of hell probably until I was in my early 20s. Still.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
It's like that residual feeling, and that's why I'm like, man, when do you finally get rid of that?
Yeah.
So because we are going to respect time, so today you are doing what? You have the High Priestess, and how can we find you? Like if you're interested.
We're already that close to time.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, the High Priestess. The website is the High Priestess. The IE in Priestess is a 13. So we'll link it in the description. I offer tarot readings and astrology readings.
And those will be. Do you do this online as
Yes,
well?
I do.
Nice.
Most of what I do is online. It's really like the best forum for me. I do events sometimes. I can do in-person stuff here.
Yes,
Yeah, we can do
yeah.
in-person appointments here at Mystic Life.
Yay.
But yeah, I would love it if you're
Yes,
interested.
definitely
to
get a
check me
reading.
out. I'm happy to. I love tarot.
Will
the
you
most.
give the story of how you came up with the High Priestess?
Yes, I will. That's perfect.
Now that you say it.
So the High Priestess, first of all, is just one of my favorite tarot cards because it really represents like feminine intuition and really just being tapped into the power of that and like being kind of unshakable in your confidence of that, of being the High Priestess. And so I love that card and what it stands for. And then I also am, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I do enjoy the cannabis plant.
Yes.
Specifically the flower.
Shock.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Flower girl.
So I thought it would be really funny to call it the High Priestess.
Oh,
Literally.
Yes.
So I'm like, it's like the High Priestess card, but it's also like you might
I
be,
just
you know.
got that.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm obsessed. I'm
I was
obsessed.
thinking about doing my logo.
I cannot even.
Listen.
It's so good.
Like the Haha Pizza guy, but like me.
Yes.
But I
But
wasn't-
still with the pizza too. I
yeah,
mean, come
but
on.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Under your arm.
But no, so I was too chicken, so I ended up not doing this.
Oh.
You just have like the tarot card of the High Priestess with a joint in her mouth.
Exactly.
Or like make
But
the
Like the Statue of Liberty,
Yeah, it
kind
was like
of, with
my
the
little
High
jokey secret
Priestess.
till now,
I love
so
it.
That's a little.
Yeah,
I'm
but it's even
obsessed.
better now.
She's
I
like-
love it.
Yes, exactly.
Now we're all in on the joke on the inside.
On the
Yeah.
inside, you know.
So now that moving on, and now you've been through all of this life, and you have come into your own spiritual practice and what you believe in, and your rituals and ceremony, and on top of all that, she is a wife.
Yeah.
And a mother, and so you do all these family wifely things.
I sure
and-
do.
Yeah, and
I do have a full-time day job as well. I'm a project manager.
So on top of her being incredibly intuitive and tapped in, she does have to live the.
She has a normal life.
Yeah,
I do.
Life.
Yeah, I'm a normal
Yeah.
person living a normal life.
That's my favorite part of everything, and like where I really hope to go with this podcast is to show that like everybody has a story. Like everybody has a story, and like we're all like Maggie is next week's or in 2 weeks we'll have Maggie on as a guest. So you know, and it's interesting. It's just every single person out there has their story
And
of
so
how they
different.
got, and that's why like
Yeah.
the way it's so particular to each person.
Yeah.
But I don't have my tarot cards tonight, so our beautiful special guest has her cards. Oh, really quick, will you show us your stove?
Yes.
Stove.
Okay.
She has
So
a witch
a
stove,
big
so
part
we
of my
have to hold
practice
on.
is kitchen witchery, and I love kitchen witchery. And one of my favorite psychics in the world, based in Dayton, Ohio, Doug Baker, at Readings by Doug on Facebook, Instagram.
Comment
He
down
recommended-
below.
I was talking to him during a reading one time, and he recommended this
Oh
beautiful
my
little
God.
guy right here. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
So this is
let's sit up a little bit. Yeah.
So this is an antique salesman sample cast iron stove, and it is one of the most fun witchcraft tools that I have. So usually I have like lift here.
Yeah, I'm jumping in the screen real quick to light it there a little bit.
So yeah, it is.
Yes.
So I think I have stuff in there. Yeah.
I
So
was got like a little
I've
spool
got
of
stuff in
thread.
there. So I do usually like every new moon. Sometimes I forget, I've got stuff going on, but usually every full moon I try to clear it out. Every new moon I try to put stuff in, and I've got usually like herbs and stones and stuff I'll put around. And I just write little notes like, what do I want? I want my son to have a really good week doing this, whatever. I want this opportunity for myself to materialize. And so I just write it down. I put it in there. I'll just say, I want a month filled with joy. I want us all to like really just have, So anyway, I always put my intentions and my wishes in here. And then I have this spooky little thing.
I love this.
So a couple years ago, I got my wisdom teeth out. And I was very lucky because I heard most people, they don't give them to you. But I was able to get my teeth. So
Yes, girl, period.
Yeah. So I have this little
Leave it
jar with
nice.
my wisdom
He was
teeth.
like, can I have one?
Yes. Well, listen. So this is for my witchcraft. I need these. So yeah, anytime I'm doing something for myself, I like shake my little teeth jar, and it's like a part of my DNA, and I feel like it just like,
Shaking
I
of the
really
teeth.
honestly, I just like to make shit up because if I wanted rules, I would go to church. So
Amen.
Period.
I just kind of do it,
Do your
my
own
way.
spells, your own
Exactly.
rituals, everything.
And so that's why I don't like spell books and things like that, because I'm just like, I don't need that. What do I think? What do I think is going to be effective?
creative. Do what your own
Absolutely.
thing. Like
All right,
you
so
don't have
remind
to
me,
have that.
what are we pulling for here?
It's to reflect on tonight's
Okay.
podcast.
Tonight's
Like what is
reflection.
our
Yeah.
advice for the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
Like what is it that spirit would like us to know? Guidance, wisdom, whatever for 2 weeks from
Yeah.
in our next 2
Yeah.
week before our
Okay.
next podcast, which is
All right, and then we're going to do our information and kind of our tone is our bottom card.
the bottom part is like the energy.
All right, I'm
What
going to
did
try
you
to
say
think.
your favorite?
This is going to be the best reading you might
Changes.
receive.
Probably-
Empress.
I love the
I love
Empress.
the
I have so many.
Just
I
say so.
love the High Priestess, Strength, the Star, the Empress. I love the Queen of Wands. I
Oh, I
love
do like the Queen.
I
of
love the
Wands.
Queen of Swords. I like the Eight of Cups. I have so many favorites. It's really hard. It's really hard to pick. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say the High Priestess. All right.
Because she be high.
That's
I'm gonna pull my tarot card.
But
All
then
right.
it got high.
Oh, the Star is one of my favorites.
Oh, you just
Okay.
said that.
So the Star is the card that's ruled by Aquarius. We've got Pluto in Aquarius right now, which just opposed our new moon in Leo and the sun in Leo on Thursday. So yeah, just remember you have a direct connection with Source, and you don't need anybody to do that for you. The Star is about being directly connected with Source and being able to receive clear messages intuitively, spiritually, and knowing that you can trust those. So that's the Star on the top. Ooh, and the Ten of Swords.
Ooh.
Ten of Swords is about total loss. It's about letting go.
Oh,
The
shit.
absolute now. But it's a 1 + 0. Like it's one.
But listen, that's what you have to gain. So I think this poll tonight is saying sometimes you got to let go of things that you're holding on to, that there's nothing in it for you. There's nothing in it for you. So just let go and trust yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being our first
We're
guest.
so happy
nice.
that you came and did this with us.
It's
I'm
been
so
so
happy
much
I've
fun.
been able to be here. It flew by.
Yeah, it
It
Yes.
does. It really it does.
Yes.
I gotta go watch it and obsess over it.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way I moved my head there, I'm gonna have to fix that.
For like the next 3 days, gonna be playing it like every hour.
Oh, why did I say that like that?
Yes. I hate my voice.
I'm like, I hate my voice.
My eyes.
My mannerisms. If I was to meet someone who was like me, I would not like them.
I do a lot of like online meetings and stuff where I have to like record and then watch back. You get used to it. You're like, oh, there's that idiot that's me anyway. Still gotta
She's
do the work.
annoying. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that was
Anyway,
me.
Maggie is our next guest, so that we're saving her one time. Maggie will be our next guest in 2 weeks.
Yes. So
Yay.
excited.
So
excited.
Coming out of her, she's starting to come through her first, I feel like, awakening.
Yeah.
Coming out of
Yes.
that world. So thank you all for watching.
I also wanted to,
Yay.
today is my 12th anniversary with my amazing husband, Chad.
Chadley.
I love you and thank you for just being cool and allowing me to do this not allowing me, but I would have done it anyway.
We just talked about that.
Spoken like
Yeah.
a true Aries.
Yeah.
Oh, not allowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just being cool about it. And I love you so much.
And thank you for making it such a
mystical life.
We love you. Thank you